I say to you that there is in operation at the present time a conspiracy to sell, and I use the word sell advisedly, this country to the Dominion of Canada.
In the spring of 484 AD, St. Brendan, a monk from County Kerry, Ireland, stood on the rocky cliffs of the Dingle Peninsula, gazing west across the endless Atlantic. Known as Brendan the Navigator, he was a man of deep faith and restless curiosity, already famed for founding monasteries. Inspired by tales of a promised land of the saints whispered among monks, a paradise beyond the horizon, he felt a divine calling to seek it. Guided by prayer and a vision, Brendan gathered 17 trusted monks and set about building a curragh, a sturdy boat of oak and ash frames, covered with ox hides tanned and stitched tight, sealed with animal fat to keep the sea at bay. With a single sail and provisions of dried fish, bread, and water, they launched from Brandon Creek in 485 AD, trusting God to steer their course. The 7-year odyssey was a tapestry of wonder and peril, as recounted in a chronicle penned centuries later by monks who revered Brendan's tale. The Atlantic tested their faith daily. Early in the voyage, they landed on a barren, treeless isle to celebrate Easter, only to find it trembling beneath them. As they scrambled back to the curragh, the island awoke, a massive whale rising to breathe. Miraculously, it spared them, and Brendan gave thanks, seeing God's hand in their deliverance. Another time, sailing past a towering pillar of bright crystal, floating in the sea, its faucets glinting like a beacon, Brendan, awestruck, believed it a divine sign, though it was likely an iceberg, a sight unknown to Irish monks but common in the North Atlantic. Their route followed a northern arc, a stepping stone path dictated by winds and currents. They rested on rocky outcrops like the Aran Islands, then ventured to the misty Hebrides, where they met hermits who shared tales of lands further west. In the Faroe Islands, they sheltered in the sea caves, marveling at flocks of seabirds so thick they darkened the sky. Pushing on, they reached Iceland's volcanic shores, where they witnessed mountains of fire, spewing ash and flame which Brendan interpreted as a glimpse of hell's edge. Storms battered their frail craft, and once a monstrous wave nearly swallowed them, but Brendan's prayers seemed to calm the sea. They drifted through fog so dense they could barely see the mast, surviving on faith and dwindling rations. After years of wandering, in the summer of 491 AD, a warm current carried them to a new shore, unlike any they'd seen. The air was thick with the scent of pine and wildflowers, and the coastline rose ruggedly from the sea, cloaked in dense forest. This was Newfoundland, though Brendan knew it only as the land God had promised. They breached their curragh on a sheltered cove, likely near what is now St. Brendan's on Cottle Island, named centuries later in his honor. The monks explored, finding clear streams, berry-laden bushes, and groves of towering trees. The Navigatio describes a land of great beauty where the fruit was sweet and the light seemed to shine with divine radiance. For 40 days they rested, feasting and praying, convinced they'd found the promised land of the saints. A river ran through the land, and when they tried to cross it, an angel appeared, urging them to return home, for their mission was to share this vision, not remain. Reluctantly, Brendan and his monks repaired the curragh and sailed east. Carried by favorable winds, they retraced their northern route, stopping again in Iceland and in the Faroes, and finally reached Ireland in 492 AD. Crowds greeted them at Clonfert, marveling at their tales of whales, crystal pillars, and a paradise across the sea. Brendan, now aged but radiant, spent his final years spreading the story, urging others to seek God's wonders. He died in 577, his legacy enduring in the Navigatio and the oral traditions of Irish monks. While no carvings or relics mark Brendan's presence in Newfoundland, his voyage's feasibility was proven in 1977 by Tim Severin, who sailed a replica curragh from Ireland to Peckford Island near Newfoundland, navigating the same currents Brendan likely rode. The Navigatio's descriptions, foggy coast, icebergs, and lush forests, match Newfoundland's landscape vividly. Irish monks were known to reach the Faroes and Iceland by the 6th century, and Newfoundland, just 1,500 miles west of Ireland, was within reach of their seafaring skills. Thus, Brendan's arrival on this St. Brendan's Island stands as a plausible chapter in a saga of faith, courage, and the uncharted sea, where a humble monk glimpsed a new world a millennium before Columbus and declared it the promised land of the saints.